Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, and wellness advocate, and today's topic is sacred simplicity. And so it's all about less is actually more. And so I never thought much about simplicity or minimalism until a few years ago when I was packing to move. And so my husband and kids and I were moving into a new home, which had me examining my closets and my drawers and all of the boxes in my basement. I mean, we are talking, I had close to a little mini mall in my basement with all these different sizes and all these different seasons clothes. So we had winter, we had summer, we had spring, we had fall. There was so much stuff. It was like bursting at the seams. And I didn't know where to begin, and I really felt overwhelmed. And it made me take a step back and really examine, do I really need this stuff? And really, when we examine all of this, it's materialism. When we think about, all of our belongings and everything inside our home, we have to ask ourselves, are we just trying to keep up with the Joneses, to keep up with all, family and friends and coworkers? And on Facebook, it's like a competition with people sharing, hey, this is my new, and then, fill in the blank, this is my new furniture, this is my new home, these are my new clothes, this is my new stash of beauty products, my new shoes. I mean, there's so much we share, and it's great and it's fine, and I love seeing people's different stash, stash of chocolate, stash of skincare, stash of, all kind of great products. I personally, I'm a big believer in a stash of beauty products, and that is because I have a background in the beauty industry, and so the thing about minimalism and just sacred simplicity is that we have to take a step back and examine, number one, what are our motives? Why are we collecting and accumulating these material goods, all of these different items? And then we have to examine one by one each item and ask ourselves, do I use it on a daily basis? And if not, then we question, do I even use it on a yearly basis? And if the answer is no, and you haven't used it for at least 1 year, the next question, and this is the deal breaker, have I used this item or needed it, had any need whatsoever, maybe within the last 2 years? And if the answer is no, you may need to start putting that in a little pile, start getting empty boxes and filling them up, or getting bags and what have you, to start putting items that you don't use, you no longer have a need for, but maybe you could sell it. Maybe you could earn money. Maybe you could take it to a resale shop and get some money, whether it's books, clothes, what have you. Or you could list it on Craigslist, maybe furniture that you don't use. When I say don't use, I mean, you just might have furniture that kind of was like a hand-me-down, your cousin who says, hey, I have this chair, I don't need it, I'm moving, or I'm getting new furniture, would you like it? And you're like, oh, sure, and so you take it. And through the years, we really do start accumulating more and more and more, to the point where we don't have any more space in our homes for it. I mean, that's why different businesses, the ones who have that extra space, all these people have so much stuff, they're bursting at the seams in their home, that they need to rent space to put their belongings. And that is really when we need to reach this place in our lives where we take a consideration for what we own, what it's worth, what it means to us, what value it has in our lives, and if we no longer have a purpose for it, but maybe someone else does. That whole thing, even, your garbage is treasure, because a lot of times there's something you might have and you don't need it, you don't want it. At one time you loved it, but right now there's just no space. And so there might be someone who might be willing to buy it, or, for a discount price or what have you, or you could even sell it. And then for the items like that couch that has stains on it, what I'm talking about, that piece of furniture has dents and, so forth, it's getting old. you may just need to get rid of it. Just head straight to the garbage and be done with it, or donate it to Goodwill if it's not in horrible condition. You know, there's that whole thing on, you know, they have guidelines for Goodwill, but it's something to consider. So a few years ago when we're moving, this is it. This is where I came to this place in my journey of life where I thought, wow, I need to simplify. And I had too much. I mean, too much of everything. Like too many shoes, too much clothes, too many coats, too many books. I mean, hey, any avid readers out there? I mean, I love to read. I love books so much. And as an author, you know, hey, I promote books too. But the thing is, you know, how many books can you keep in your home? And do you have enough bookshelves? I personally, 2 years ago, ran out of space. I had no more bookshelves, no more room, you know, and it was at a, you know, little place in time of moving that made me rethink, you know, well, maybe someone else would be blessed with my books. Maybe someone else would love my books. Maybe I can make money and sell my books to Discount Books. So that's what I did. I collected all the books that I no longer wanted and I already read, so I already put a lot of use into them, but books that were still in really good condition, you know, whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, whether it was a memoir or something to do with health or marriage or faith. Hey, there's a long list. Even essential oil books. I mean, I had a lot of wellness books, but there's just no space. And I reached a place where I was able to just say to myself, it's okay to let go. It's okay to let go, which brings me to, hang on, here we go. Which brings me to a quote by Steve Maraboli, who says, "The greatest step towards a life of simplicity is to learn to let go." And so really that's what it comes down to, that we need to reach a place where instead of, you know, hoarding all this stuff and accumulating and accumulating and accumulating and stuffing our home and our closets and our drawers and every space with something, instead we could learn to let go of what we don't need, start practicing simplicity. And so I'll just share a little bit more about my story. So what happened was I decided to start with my bedroom. And why? Because I have so much in my bedroom. I have a big closet full of clothes. And because I had worked in the beauty industry, typically fashion and beauty go hand in hand. So there were, you know, a lot of great reasons in my background with beauty that I needed to not only look good on the outside with my makeup and hair color and the whole thing, but you also need to have a really up-to-date, trendy fashion. And the reason why is because in the beauty industry, it is hand in hand with trends and fashion. And so, hey, we have to look the part. If you are a hairdresser, you need to have your hair colored. You cannot have grays coming through. You need to keep it cut. You need to have your makeup look flawless if you are a makeup artist, and that's what I had done for 30 plus years. And so I had a lot of clothing, a lot of shoes, a lot of jewelry, to the point where I didn't have any more space. So I ended up 2 years ago deciding I am going to get rid of a lot. I'm going to take myself so far out of my comfort zone, and I am going to give these clothes to Goodwill. I decided that because time was of the essence and it was a situation where we had a certain timeline to hurry up, pack, and then move. And because we only had a certain set of weeks to do this, I didn't have a ton of time to sell everything. And I decided to just give it to Goodwill. You know, sure, I had a lot of things that may have earned me a lot of money, but my time was of the essence, and they say time is money, and it definitely is. So what I did is I took probably more shoes than I would have chosen, but I just decided this is it. I'm a shoe lover. I love shoes. I've always loved shoes, but I have to get rid of some of these shoes. And this is the why, because we have to ask ourselves with simplicity, when we examine each item, we have to ask ourselves, Is it still serving a purpose in my life? Is it still something I need? Or is it something that's no longer serving me and someone else may be able to make great use with it? And so for me, because I do have herniated discs that have gotten worse through the years with the advanced degenerative disc disease and with the fibromyalgia, I don't really wear high heels that often. I could go months without ever wearing a pair of heels because there is just no need. Because I work at home as an author and speaker, other than speaking gigs, and the wellness advocate, typically I am an entrepreneur that works out of my home. So based on that, I could wear slippers. I could be in my pajamas working on my computer, or I could actually, like now, be basically dressed from the waist up and I'm just in a pair of shorts, and they don't even match. Hey, that's the beauty of working at home. But what it comes down to is that I realized that A, I'm not working in the beauty industry anymore. B, my lifestyle has changed drastically with the fibromyalgia and the herniated discs, and I don't need high heels. And they're beautiful heels. I mean, I tell you what, I had so many pretty shoes, just so every kind, every color, everything you can imagine, from casual to classy to sexy to hot mama heels to just Skechers tennis shoes. I mean, I have everything under the sun because I'm a shoe lover. But you reach a place with simplicity where you decide this is it. They're no longer serving me. I don't even wear these shoes. Yes, they're gorgeous, but it's time to say goodbye. And so I packed up all my shoes and decided to put the purses inside the box too. So I decided that a lot of purses needed to go. Those designer handbags. Oh, why do we women succumb to this whole thing with society that tells us that we need this special $300 handbag? It's crazy, ladies, that we do this. And I've had times where I've said yes to these big pricey items. And then I've had times where I found discounts and I went to Ross Dress for Less or Marshalls or TJ Maxx or found myself a steal and saved myself a ton of money. But I reached a point where I thought, I really don't want to buy designer handbags from this point forward. I don't want to be sucked into materialism. Like, that purse is worth so much money. I could do so much more and stretch that $200, $300 purse. When you think about the money, I could stretch it for something a lot more practical. I mean, I am talking practical. And so with simplicity, we need to be practical. We need to be realistic. And we need to realize that if you're not using it, if you don't have a need for it, if it is just taking up space or collecting dust on a shelf, or it's sitting in the basement and you haven't probably worn it or seen it or used it or had any desire to even find a way to make the most of it in the past 2 to 3 years, it is definitely time to put it in another box that says, either sell or donate, or, ask neighbors or family or someone if they'd like it. Do what you need to do. And hey, if you can make an extra buck, go for it. Boom, I give that a thumbs up. But in the meanwhile, here's something interesting. Hang on, I need my glasses for this one. All right, here we go. Let's talk about credit card debt. Because when we're talking about minimalism and we're talking about sacred simplicity, we have to understand that, in this whole effort to keep up with the Joneses and this pressure we have with society to have these standards, and really keep in mind, this is unrealistic standards by our society that is telling us, you need that TV. Oh, you need that flat screen. Oh, you need an upgrade to that flat screen TV, and you need that new fancy car, and you need to get a new computer, and don't forget to get all the new technology. And so you'll get yourself a new Kindle and you get yourself that fancy new iPhone or Galaxy or whatever you choose. And the bottom line is, it A, could put us in debt. B, is it really giving us meaning in our lives? Is it really filling a need, or are we just kind of stuffing ourselves, kind of like filling those empty spots? How there's people who have emptiness in their heart and their soul, and so they stuff their life with purchasing products and going on shopping sprees and filling and filling and filling and filling those empty places that nothing will ever be able to fill. You know, we have to understand that many people use sex, drugs, they use food, they use shopping, they use gambling, this whole thing with accumulating or numbing out to harsh drugs like benzodiazepines and opioids and gabapentin. You know what? We need to take a step back. We need to take a step back and ask ourselves, am I just filling a void that really will never be filled? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is trying to fill a void that will never, ever. I mean, you could have all the sex you want. You could have all the drugs you want. You could have all the one-night stands you want, but it's going to leave you empty. Why? Because it will never, ever fill that empty soul, that empty soul inside of you. So we really need to rethink what we're filling our lives with, what we're accumulating. And let's not get into credit card debt. So, based on the findings by creditcards.com, most Americans are in steep credit card debt. Apparently, overspending is a serious concern, not just for you or me, but a nationwide problem. As reported on this website, quote unquote, according to the Federal Reserve, total U.S. outstanding customer debt was $3.62 trillion as of May 2016. This figure includes car loans, student loans, and revolving debt, but not including mortgages. Total U.S. outstanding revolving debt, which is chiefly made up of credit card balances, yep, you know what I'm talking about, people, totaled up to $953.3 billion as of May 2016. Okay, that speaks volumes. So what we're doing as a nation, as a society, is we're accumulating, and it has an expense, and we have to ask ourselves, what is the cost? What is the cost? And we're not talking just dollars, people. What is the cost? Are we talking gambling? Are we talking that you're sabotaging yourself, that you're putting yourself in debt, that you're going to end up with credit card debt? Are we talking about that it's going to end up ripping your marriage apart because there's overspending going on? You know, we have to take a look at the credit cards. And I'm going to share a story about my own experience. So a few years ago, I went to a bridal shower. And you know how they play games? I mean, it's fun. And hey, who doesn't want to win a prize? So you get to win a prize, and it's a lot of fun. And so I'm playing this game, and it was a huge wake-up call. The game was about credit cards. Now, I'm kind of shocked that they would play this game because it, in a way, I feel like it spoke so loud and clear because you could see the people who had a ton of credit cards and you could see the people who didn't. So this is the fact. The fact is, I was the only person in the room who didn't have credit cards. So my story is this. Several years ago, well, let's take it even further. Over 10 to 15 years ago, I decided to do something super brave, super courageous, and cut up every single credit card. Why? Because I was sick and tired of credit card debt. I wanted to get a grip on it. I wanted to change my life and promote simplicity in a way where I could get a grasp on this debt and start paying off this debt and not having this looming over my shoulders. And so I didn't have credit cards. So I'm looking and I'm watching. So I'm an observer now. I'm just sitting back. I am an observer because I don't have credit cards. I can't play this game. Who cares I don't win the prize? Because technically I think I'm the one who's the richest. I'm the one who's got my shit together, people. Why? Because I'm not filled with all this debt and all these credit cards and all this stuff that all these other women had. So in the room, I mean, women are whipping out 10 credit cards, 15 credit cards, 20 credit cards, 25 credit cards. Wow. All I have to say is, I don't know how you keep up unless you have a really wonderful career and a wonderful steady income. I don't know how you keep up with that kind of debt, because we already know with credit cards you're getting ripped off. You know, there's that percentage that you have to pay. So the point is this, my wake-up call was that our world is so used to overspending, is so used to accumulating, is so used to stuffing and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing those empty places where there's a void, and they're filling and filling and filling their lives up with things they may not need. And for everyone, it's different. You know, for one person, it might be they're going to buy a bunch of golf clubs because maybe they love golfing. They can't really afford it, but hey, they love it. And they think, and they justify, it's great exercise, and I'm in the sun, and I'm socializing. And then someone else, it might be maybe along the lines of like me. They love clothing, they love makeup, they love shoes, and they love books. For another person, it might be a lot more expensive. There might be a high price and a steep price they have to pay. And it could be they love fancy cars, they love fancy vacations, they love dining out frequently. I'm talking practically every night, at least every weekend. Entertainment is a big expense in their lives. So they're doing a lot of vacationing, doing a lot of entertaining, and for them, they could have large chunks of money involved because of their high standard of living. And again, who are we trying to keep up with? The Joneses? I really think we're at a place and a time where we could really embrace simplicity. And I'm going to talk about something that is on my heart. I'm getting my notes, people. Something that's on my heart about simplicity and about accumulating and about reaching a place where we know we have too much and our home is bursting at the seams and our debt is quite high to the point where we're stressed out. Maybe we can't sleep at night. Maybe that's why someone's drinking and doing drugs. They're numbing out because they have so much debt and they're so stressed out and they don't know what to do, and they're going in this vicious cycle, and they reach a point where they realize they might have to file for bankruptcy. I mean, this is the real deal, and this is what's going on in our world today. So we have to ask ourselves a question. I need my glasses again for this. And this is something I asked myself 2 years ago, and today I want you to ask yourself this question. Here it is. What good is it to gain the whole world if we risk losing our soul? What good is it if we gain all these goods, all these products, all these items and these wonderful things? Maybe for someone it's a boat. Maybe for someone else they buy a cabin and then they're filling up. They have to get all new furniture. They have to get all these new things. They want a microwave. They need a refrigerator. They need a washing machine. They need a dryer. I mean, these are big, big expenses. And whether it's someone who loves shopping and going on shopping sprees, just clothing, or someone loves upgrading, constantly upgrading, new TV, new computer, new technology, new phone, or whether it's someone else and they spend money on gardening or what have you. Everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different why. But at the end of the day, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror. And eventually, we have to look at our bank account and we have to ask ourselves, what is the price? What is the price? And am I willing to risk losing my soul over money, over materialism? And so let's head on over to Matthew 16:26 says, what good will it be for someone to gain the whole world yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? And so we need to consider, how can we simplify? Can less be more? And today I'm here to say yes. I gave away 20 bags of clothes. That's a lot, people. I sacrificed. I didn't earn a buck off of this, but like I said, time was of the essence. Time is money. And for me, I felt like I was actually doing something positive, actually. I felt good. Just the whole idea that I'm helping this business, Goodwill, okay, I'm helping them, so you're helping to keep the whole, finances and the economy going. And then there are people who are going to be blessed. I mean, hey, I had some really, really pretty clothes and really nice shoes, and people are going to be blessed with it, and they get to buy it for less. You know, nobody had to buy it for the amount I had to. And I walked away after giving Goodwill 20 bags, and then after going to different resale shops, and maybe I did earn $1 or $2, but nothing major. You know, resale shops, you never ever will ever get anything even close to what you spent. Same for the books I sold. And so yeah, there was a little bit of cash, not much. But the bottom line was I willing to sell my soul for all this stuff, or did I decide that less is best? And for me, it is. And so let's read this quote by John Maida, who says, "Simplicity is about subtracting the obvious and adding the meaningful." So we have to ask ourselves, is this stuff really meaningful? I mean, come on, those books were no longer meaningful to me. I read them, I used them, I got a lot out of them. It educated me. I gained insight and wisdom, and it might have helped my marriage. It might have helped my faith. It might have helped me in my spiritual walk. It might have been something to do with holistic wellness and even the benzodiazepines. Because trust me, I had a lot of books about the different real people who have gone through hell and back over benzodiazepines and different drugs, and they have their own story, just like I have my memoir out there, The Harvest of Hope, living victoriously through adversity. But the point is yes, at one time I needed that book about benzodiazepines. Trust me, it was a blessing, and I gained a lot from it, and it did give me wisdom. And it did help me. But at this point, hey, that's 8 years behind me. I no longer need it, but maybe someone else needs it. So yes, I sold the different books and so forth. But at the end of the day, we have to realize that we're not gaining anything by all this material stuff. We're getting ourselves in debt. We're causing ourselves more stress. And instead, we could really be conscientious about it and decide on what stays, what goes, what we could sell, what we could donate. And at the end of the day, when it's all done, and mind you, this isn't just a one-time thing. It might take you a month to do this. I mean, really, I'm being fair about it. It's very time-consuming, but it is a huge blessing in the end to end up really focusing on simplicity and realizing, this stuff's not holding you down anymore. This stuff's not holding you down, and it gets you to a place where you are grateful for what you have, that less is more. And there's so much gratitude that fills your heart and soul. I'm telling you, people, you will walk away blessed, and you will walk away with a whole new meaning for the word simplicity, and just finding joy in small things in life and making the most of each breath and each moment. Let's end with an inspirational quote by Becoming Minimalist. And it says, "Simplicity is not about deprivation. Simplicity is about greater appreciation for things that really matter." And so today, share with me what really matters to you. Do you have stuff that's kind of bugging you down, weighing you down? Have you got yourself into debt? Did you ever consider cutting up your credit cards? Do you have like different things that you just can't say goodbye to? And it's okay. Hey, there's some things we can't say goodbye to because it is meaningful, and that's what it's all about. So I hope this was inspirational for you. And if you'd like more inspiration and encouragement, you can go to danaarcuri.com. Have a great day.